Hi everyone, and welcome to another review from Class 47 Peter. And today we're going to be having a look at a new release. This model only came out in the beginning of June, so it hasn't been out for too long. I'm not going to beat about the bush because you already know what this model is. It's made by Heljan, and this is the BR Class 07, which is a diesel shunter. Now I have been very much looking forward to these, because diesel shunters is something I have neglected a lot, to be honest, from my collection. I only have two of the diesel shunters. That's the Hornby Class 09 in the mainline livery, which was a Model Zone exclusive, and the Hornby Sentinel 4WDM. I did have a Batman Class 04 at one point, but a few years ago the motor on that gave up the ghost, and sadly I couldn't really bring it back into service. So this is the only third diesel shunter that I've got, so I have overlooked diesel shunters quite a bit. And I do quite like the Class 07. They are very interesting looking machines. What I particularly like about them is that the cab is centred in the middle, and you have the two bonnets on either side of the loco, basically very much like a Class 14 or a Class 17. Now this model came from Hatton's, and it's just arrived in the post today, at the time of filming this review. And I paid £111 for this model. I would have bought one of these. I had hoped to get one of these from the Great Central Model event, but I didn't get one, simply because I bought the other things that I came away with. The Triang Stevenson's rocket, which is actually in the background just there, the Bachmann Baldwin Class 10, and also that Ratio Practrus signal gantry. But also, they didn't have the one that I was looking for, at least on the stands that I looked on. This particular model I have is in the BR green livery, with the hazard warning stripes, or WASP stripes as it's also known as. And this particular one is numbered D2985. But anyway, let's get this model open and see what it's like, because I can't wait to see what this model is like. I did see these models on display at Worley last year, and I have seen them in the pictures, and they look stunning. So this is the Heljan packaging that we're all familiar with now, which is the plastic packaging, of course. So I'll take away the box and put that down to one side. And there we have the model inside the packaging. So we'll take away the packaging out of the card tray. We'll put the tray to one side, and we can now have a look at the instruction manual. So this is going to be all the familiar stuff that we're used to seeing. On the back we have the spare parts diagram for the model. So basically, if you lose a part, they're all numbered. So if you lose a part, or a part is damaged and needs replacing, you could just simply order one from Heljan. So in the instruction manual on the front, it talks to you about there's a bit about the prototype there. Inside it does actually give a brief history of the real locomotive. And then here we have the instructions on how to remove the body. There's a couple of diagrams on how to do that. And DCC operation. So I'll put that to one side, and I'll put that in my folder where I keep all my instruction manuals later on. Then we'll remove the outer plastic sleeve. And then underneath we have the accessory bag, which is sellotaped on, so I'll just take that off, and we'll now have a look at the accessory bag more closely. So in the accessory bag we have some air pipes. Now I thought for a second these were actually jumper cables looking at them, which they're doing one way, looking at it like that, but looking at them closer they are in fact air pipes. Now the way you get these on, because they're attached onto a sprue, so the way you get them off is you simply cut them off and then glue them onto the model. 2 slim NEM tension lock couplings. We also have some blanking plugs. Now these fit into the buffer beam, so if you choose to just have the one end, the coupling in, to simply get rid of the hole in the buffer beam where you fit the tension lock coupling, you can use these blanking plugs. And we also have a few Southern Region route indicator discs. So with the detail parts now looked at, we can now finish off the unboxing. So we'll just undo the clip of the box and gently lift the model out, like so. And then we'll put the empty box to one side, and then we remove this plastic sheet and gently lift the model out, and we can put that to one side. And so now we can have a look at the model in detail. Now the first thing I'm going to talk about, as I always do with these review videos, is talk about how heavy the model is. And this is a very heavy model. So there's a lot of weight in this model, which is good, because all that weight provides the traction for the model. So this model isn't going to have any problems with traction whatsoever. Moving on to the detail now, which this model has sprung buffers, as you can see, but also these buffers are not made of plastic. These are metal buffers. Now that's got to be a first for Heljan, because I've never seen a Heljan model with metal sprung buffers before. So it is really quite nice that the buffers are made of metal rather than plastic. On the buffer beam we have some nice rivet detail. We also have a couple of holes, as a separately fitted vacuum pipe, well in this case an air pipe. And also we have a separately fitted chain link coupling, and it is a chain link coupling because it hasn't got the screw link coupling mechanism on it. We also have an NEM socket for the coupling to go into, or the blanking plug, whichever you choose to put in there. Just on the front, at the sides there, we have some separately fitted handrails which are painted white, and they look really stunning. We've also got some separately fitted lamp irons, and plenty of them, as well as some light clusters, because I believe this model has working lights. We also have this separately fitted detail part just here. Excuse my giant finger there where I'm pointing to, that's just to show you which particular detail parts I'm talking about. I don't know what it is, but it's there and it looks really nice. We also have a separately fitted metal handrail there on the front, and the Ruston logo as well, which the printing on that is just fantastic. We also have a beautiful etched metal grille on the front there on the logo, and just look at the effect on that. The amount of detail on that really is incredible. And that just looks absolutely superb. Just simply see that up close. We also have a footstep at the front of the model on the loco there at the front for the driver to simply climb up and onto the front of the loco. We also have some sanding gear on the model as well. We have a small metal handrail there in the front of the loco on the running board. Moving on to these side rods now, and they are painted in a very nice shade of red. And that just looks simply fantastic, and I can't wait to see that moving on the model, just like you do on the real thing. We also have the lubricator mechanism as well, and under the running plate we have what I believe are called the air tanks, and they are separately fitted. And there's even some separately fitted pipe work there coming out from that air tank, again if that's what it's called. And that pipe work there is painted, and that just looks superb. We've also got the sand boxes as well. And on the frames of the chassis there is some nice rivet detail there as well. And again there's some more painted pipe work as well. On the bonnets, on both bonnets that is, we have separately fitted metal handrails, as you can see. and they look absolutely superb. We've also got the latches as well, which in reality they open up to the engine. On the model they don't open up, but then I don't really expect them to open, and if they did they'd probably make the model more expensive. But I do love the grille effect on those latches just there. Even the door handles on the latches are separately fitted and they are painted. We also have some very fine crisp lining, white lining that is, around the front of the loco there, on the bonnet, running along the top of the latches and down to the front there. And the way that's done, that is just superb. And also we have a lot of rivet detail on the sides of the bonnets as well. We also have the exhaust pipe as well, and that is painted. And that does look to be a separately fitted detail part, though I could be wrong on that. But just look at the conical shape of that. I mean, that is just fantastic. The exhaust pipe is not painted on all of them though, but on this model it is painted, and that just looks fantastic. There's also quite a bit of rivet detail there on top of the bonnet, and we also have these bits of detail just here. I don't know what they are 100%, but they're there and they look nice. At the back of the loco we have another separately fitted handrail on the running board there, and it's painted. We have some more latches there, some more rivet detail, beautifully and crisply printed white lining, and also, as mentioned earlier, separately fitted handrail there, which is made of metal. And on the top of this bonnet we have some more rivet detail. We also have a footstep under the cab for the driver to climb into the cab, of course. On the cab sides we have some very nice rivet detail, as well as the locomotive's running number, D2985, which is crisply printed and they've got the right style font and numerals. We also have some separately fitted handrails on the sides of the cab as well. There's two by the sides of the door there, which are painted white, and then we have that small handrail just there, which is on the cab sides. And the door handle on the cab door there is painted, and that looks rather nice. On the front of the cab we have some more rivet detail, and there's glazing in all of the cab windows, and even the window trims there have been painted, and that just looks fantastic. It really does look superb. We've also got separately fitted window wipers as well, and even they have been painted. At the back of the cab again we have glazing in the cab windows and separately fitted window wipers just there and painted, and the painted cab window trims. Now the cab interior detail in this model really is something to behold. I mean, the inside of the cab for a start has been painted. Inside the cab just there we have that turning wheel, which is separately fitted and has been painted, and that looks fantastic when you're looking at it through the windows just there on the model. But also just look at all the detail inside the cab, all the controls there. They have all been painted. And that is just fantastic. Because normally Heljan don't bother painting the cab interiors. They just leave them unpainted. Not that it matters too much, but on this model they have painted it. And that just looks absolutely superb to look at in the cab. It really does. Moving to the back of the loco, again we have separately fitted and painted handrails just there on the sides of the bonnet. Separately fitted handrails and light clusters, which again I believe are light up. And also the Ruston logo, crisply printed on the back there. And again, the detailing printed on that looks superb. On the rear buffer beam we have some more rivet detail, NEM socket, separately fitted chain link coupling and a separately fitted air pipe, and also again, just like on the front of the loco, sprung metal buffers. We've also got the cab roof, which is painted grey, and the horns at the top of the cab, which are also separately fitted and painted as well. Moving on to the livery application now, which we have a very nice even coat of paint, no errors in the paint, and it's the correct shade of green, and it's been applied beautifully. And we also have the British Railway logo there printed on the sides of the cab, very crisply done. And just look at the detail on that, I mean that is just stunning. The wasp stripes are also very well painted as well on both ends of the model as well. Very, very nicely done. And then moving to the other side of the model, detail wise it's the same. Separately fitted handrails on the bonnet, separately fitted handrails on the running board there, more separately fitted handrails on the sides of the cab, rivets. It really is an incredible model. Now normally at this point I'd get the model running on the layout, but before I do that there's just something I want to talk about, and that concerns DCC Fitting the model. For me this is not a problem because I don't have DCC and I have no intention to go DCC, but I'm mentioning this for the purpose of the review. Basically, to fit a DCC decoder in this model you have to take the body off, and the way you do that is you undo the body screws and then you have to remove the cab by pulling it upwards from the chassis, and you do the same thing with the two bonnets. It's basically the same thing with the Heljan Class 14 teddy bear. You also, with that model, you also have to pull the cab roof up, pull the cab upwards from the chassis and remove the bonnets. Now to do this it can be quite tricky without damaging the model, although I have heard that some people have managed to fit this model with the DCC decoder without damaging the model, but it is something to watch out for. One thing I do want to point out though is that the sockets in this model, they do swing left to right. So it can be a bit fiddly putting the couplings in, so that's just something to watch out for when fitting the couplings in this model. Or the blanking plugs for that matter. We now come on to the running performance of the model. And as you can see, straight out of the box, she's a smooth runner. I did have to give the tracks a good cleaning though on this section just here. How dirty they were. There's no grinding noises, motors burning out or jerky movement or anything of the sort. She runs and performs how she should straight out of the box. Okay, so I've turned the lights off in the shed, although there is some light still shining through because that door is open over there. But I'm just going to show you the working lights now. So on the front we have two lights that work, as you can see, when the model's coming towards you. As you can see. Then I'll move around here and try and get a better shot. So there are, look, so those two lights at the front, just below the buffer beam there, they light up when the model's coming towards you. And it's the same for when the model is running in the other direction, as you can just about see. Now we come on to the loaded test run of the model. Now normally what I'd do is I'd get the locomotive pulling a train around the layout. But that's not going to be the case with this model because this is a diesel shunter after all. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be getting her doing some shunting. So what's going to happen is the 07 is going to shunt and arrange all these wagons. It's then going to shunt them onto the main line just here, and then a locomotive is going to come along and take them away. Slightly unorthodox there, parking the wagons up on the main line just here, but it's a model railway after all. So let's get shunting. So overall, the Heljan Class 07 is an absolutely stunning model, and I can't fault it. It really is faultless. I'll overgloss the fact that putting a DCC decode in this model can be difficult in terms of getting the body off without damaging the model, because I don't have DCC, and it wouldn't be fair for me to mark it down for that when that's not going to really be a problem for me because I don't have DCC. But it is a stunning model, and the Class 07 is one of Heljan's best models that they've made yet. So overall, I'm going to rate the Class 07 a 10 out of 10. Because this model really is amazing. I'd highly recommend you get one of these models if you haven't already got one. This has been Class 47 Peter reviewing the absolutely superb Heljan Class 07. And I'll see you again soon for the next review. Not sure what it's going to be yet. We'll wait and soon find out. But until then, check out my other content, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now and take care.